Sure. I know that your and Angelica's districts are ones that would probably be the focus of gerrymandering in 2021. And how can citizen advocates fight that gerrymandering and prevent it?
So that's a really good question. I think that we can start by being proactive and helping to get Democrats to the majority. And, some people will say, well, we don't want Democrats to gerrymander either. And I agree with that. But one of the things that I can say about at least having a majority in one of the chambers in the General Assembly is that that will now even the playing field. We will not have one party having control of every part and step of the process without there being any checks or balances on that process. So this election and getting Democrats elected is the first proactive measure that we can take to fight redistricting, especially when we're dealing with redistricting, the first redistricting after the gutting of certain provisions in the Voting Rights Act that could make redistricting even more, or gerrymandering even more egregious than it has been in the past with no repercussion. But despite or in spite of the election results, the other way that citizen advocates can fight gerrymandering is to continue to support and educate our legislators on things like independent redistricting. One thing I learned very quickly when I got to the General Assembly is that no one is an expert on everything. And even I can admit there are certain subjects that I have a really hard time, grasping because it's just not in my wheelhouse. And so that's where it's important for people to hear from you. And so I love what Necessary Trouble has done. I love what Marching Buddies has done. I love that you all come down to the Capitol and you provide information. But that cannot stop. That has to continue. So once the election results is over, or once the election is over and the dust has settled, that is the time before session even starts to begin speaking to people about what you envision for how redistricting should go. And then stay involved, continue to watch the process and see what's going on and call out things that are not going the way they are supposed to go. Because the truth is, regardless of what happens in this election, shenanigans are going to happen. They're going to try to get things through. And so that is where the watchful eye of the citizenry is so important. And so I hope that answers your question. But yes, we really just need everyone to be in the fight. And to pay attention and again get those Democrats elected so we can at least stop the all-out assault that the Republicans will try if they have control of the governor's house or the executive branch and both chambers of the legislature.
And if I may just add on to this, I really second everything Jasmine just said. And that's one of the reasons why the Republicans are targeting our seats so heavily is because they know that they are at the risk of losing the power to redistrict Georgia for another 10 years of red power. And we cannot let them do this. And I just want to tell you, I debated my opponent last week, and the topic of gerrymandering came up, and I said, you know what, both parties do it, and it's wrong for both parties. And he was totally okay with it. So when we don't get a foot in the door by getting the majority in the House, or at minimum get really, really close, we will not have that power, and that will negatively impact the future of Georgia. So that's why it's so important.
I have something to add to that too. So end of last year, I was at an event, and my opponent actually approached me, and he had told me, these were his exact words, "I don't know why everybody's making such a big deal about the demographics of our district changing. We're just going to redraw the lines in 2021. So it's not that we're just theorizing. That's absolutely their plan, that they're going to be redrawing district lines come next year.